So if you've just joined us, this is our little Substack Midnight Vault party in Europe. For those of us who are mad enough to go on video and do a live, me and Miguel, we are talking about how this book came to be and why we're in it. So, Miguel, I have a copy with me already.
I have a hoodie. I don't have a copy, but I have a hoodie.
The Substack Zone hoodie, which I don't have. I kind of feel like I've got a bit of hoodie envy now. So it's like, yeah, I've got the book, but I don't have the hoodie. It's like, oh. So,
well, we are complimenting each other now. So,
yeah. So, Midnight Vault, I wanted to get you on to talk about how you ended up working on this, how you got your ideas, where did you get your ideas from, and also what had you seen of the Twilight Zone. So during this, we're just having a little chat, we're having a discussion about the book and the stories and what inspired us. But if you do have any questions, anyone who's joining us on the live, do just drop them in the comments and we'll try our best to answer them as we go through. But yeah, we want to talk about Miguel's story, Room 13. So, if you don't already know, because obviously it hasn't been mentioned enough, the Midnight Vault is out. It's now on anywhere that sells online books. You can get it on ebook and paperback. And Miguel is one of the 29, as am I, who are published in this book. And it's tales of sci-fi, horror, and the unknown, and it's inspired by you've got the Substack Zone hoodie on, so I'm like, it's inspired by the Substack Zone. It's not. It's inspired by the Twilight Zone, but we created the Substack Zone. So we want to talk about Room 13. So Miguel, take it away. Where did that come from?
Well, the whole thing, started with Sean reaching out if I wanted to join the Substance or as it's now known, the Midnight Vault. And it was actually funny because I've never seen an episode of Twilight Zone before. I actually didn't even. I knew the title. I knew that something like that existed, but I never saw a single episode of it, or even like heard what it actually is. So I I did some research and it sounded super cool, and it seemed like a cool challenge to try to approach writing from a completely different structure that I didn't know how to use, because the challenge was to include the intro and outro how Rod Serling used to do. And so I did a little bit of research. I watched a couple of episodes, just a few, and I don't really remember them that well. It was done masks, and
right.
then
So you couldn't tell us which is your favourite, no?
Yeah,
you got
I
the
know it
gist.
was one with the masks, and then the Nightmare in 8,000 feet, or whatever it's called, the one about the monster on the plane.
I think it's 20,000 feet.
Or
But
20,000 feet. That makes way more sense.
yeah, it's a low flying plane, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
I
I
think that's
watched
the most
those.
famous one.
Come again?
That's the most famous one, I think, is the 20,000 feet one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know most people like recommended that one to like start, like that's the most famous one. So I went there, and then I actually had the Room 13 story kind of in the drafts already for, whew, I would say almost 2 years, maybe even before I had my Substack. I wrote this. And it was supposed to be just a silly little flash fiction about, guy gets into a room and the room kind of attacks him. And then when I was like thinking what to write for the Substack Zone, I remembered that I had this in the drafts already, and I was like, yeah, it sounds like that could be an episode of a Substack Zone. Actually, you enter a hotel, you get a room that doesn't exist, and you end up in the Twilight Zone. So
Mm.
so that kind of fits the theme, and I went with it.
Yeah. Well, you're very lucky that you had something already.
Yeah.
I didn't. um,
I had only like 200 words. It was just an idea and a couple
yeah.
of like sentences.
That's a whole. I mean, that's a whole story in your line of work, isn't it?
Oh
It could have
yeah,
been yeah. So it's not like you to have even 200 words that are not a story.
yeah,
So
true.
you were lucky there, and it's a good story. Like without us, revealing the whole plot, Room 13 is a perfect one. It's a perfect Twilight Zone style story. I had a similar problem to you. I had seen the Twilight Zone, but only maybe 2 or 3 episodes. I got the gist and knew what it was about, but when it came to writing a story, I was a bit like, whoa, pressure. Because you want to get it right. This 4 act structure, was it?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
You should have like little intro. Then there's the intro monologue. Then there are like you enter the zone, weird stuff starts happening, and there is a conclusion, and then there is the outro, right? And that's
Yeah.
like the structure of the episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun to do. Like something that I didn't even try before to really like tie myself to a structure. Like be like it has to be it has to follow these steps. So it was fun thing to figure out the exact parts where okay, so now it seems normal, and now we are in the Twilight Zone, but the character doesn't feel it yet, but the reader knows it, or the in the episode you can kind of see that something weird is happening even when the character doesn't feel it yet, and then go full blast and have bleeding faucets in the bathroom and ghosts in the mirrors.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did you feel about writing the little narrator bit? Did you feel weird about that? Like, because I think from what I've seen of yours, you don't really do that, and I don't really do that. It felt a bit weird, didn't it, having to write
Uh,
like a little.
I think that was probably the hardest part of the whole thing. It
Hmm.
like took me the longest to kind of like figure it out. I had no idea how to approach that,
Yeah.
so I spent super long time just because I was trying to nail the sort of the voice of uh, Rosserling, like the way he tells the intro, and that
Hmm.
was really hard to like. If it was written from with my voice, I think I could have like get it done way sooner. But then I was trying to really mimic his style and the way he's like presenting the episodes, and that was really hard. It was like almost
Hmm.
impossible. It took me so long.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard. And I think there have been obviously people have been like, oh, I would have loved to do that and stuff. It was quite hard. I think being given a set structure as well, and they weren't by any means strict as well. So Jay, if you're watching this isn't us saying, oh, you're so strict. No, it's not that. It was trying something new. And I know normally like you don't write like that. You just tell the story, but you don't get involved. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't usually. I'm not like. I don't have very active narrators, so to
Yeah.
speak. I don't try to insert myself or like the narrator figure in the stories very much.
No. No, me neither. So having to do it where you add yourself to the story
Yeah,
was a bit strange. But
that's challenging. Yeah.
yeah, but we did it.
We
You
did
know,
it, and I think the
it's
stories
done.
were great. Like yeah, they were just. It was such an awesome event in total. Like, it just worked really well with everyone, I think.
Mm, yeah. And was there anyone who when we came to the collaboration, was there anybody that you hadn't ever heard of before or worked with before?
Mm,
Because you're there with the microfiction prompts.
yeah. Well, I'm not. I didn't do that many collaborations on Substack. So, like from working perspective, I didn't work with like anybody. Um, but there were a couple I never heard of. Uh,
Mm.
but I don't know. Um, I don't know. For the last couple of weeks, I'm in this little corner of Substack by myself and kind of not interacting with anyone. So I, like even sort of forgot who was with us. I know there was Edith and Andy and all the Johns.
All the giants.
All the Johns. Uh,
Yeah. No, I'm just looking now, and there were a few people who I hadn't heard of before. So
yeah.
um, there was like this. Oh wow! So we're all going to be in this anthology together. I didn't
Yeah.
even know there were all these people here.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I
that's
think that
actually cool.
yeah, that was something that I think Jay said to Anne from Tell Me a Mystery. They were chatting. They were doing a live, and they both knew fiction authors, but they didn't know the same fiction authors. And then you just realize how many of us there are
Yeah.
here.
Well, that's crazy.
Um,
When they first introduced the thing, I thought that when Sean approached me, I thought there will be like 10 people maybe, or like I knew that it's gonna be likely you, me, maybe EJ Trask, and uh, sort of like I don't know John Word or someone, and I thought like there will be 10 of us, and then he's like, okay, so there's gonna be 33 stories. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, okay. Like, isn't
yeah,
that like if you take Markup Monday, like, isn't that like all of us?
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't actually. There's so many good fiction writers now on Substack. It's great.
Yeah, and it's amazing how it's like that 2 degrees of separation. It's just
Yeah.
someone that you know who knows someone else, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden there's 30 people. Um, but yeah, I mean, did you when it came around the first time, when it was all over Substack and they were saying, "Oh, we're sharing all our stories. We're going to share them by this date." Did you catch many of the stories? I mean, there were a lot of stories to go through, but there were a few that I just read and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" There's like, were there any that you just thought, "Oh wow," I wouldn't have known about this story if this hadn't happened.
Um. Yeah, probably. I didn't actually. I still didn't read all of the stories from the Substack
You
Zone.
will get your chance.
Yeah, I'll probably read them all in the Midnight Water.
Yeah,
Because I'm terrible at reading Substacks. If it didn't end up in my inbox, which is where I usually read, because if I do it in the app, I just scroll out of
yeah,
it soon. So I read maybe 50% or like 15 or 16 of those stories.
yeah.
I loved yours. I loved the one by Shayna Reed. That one was awesome.
Yeah. And Shayna, just going to do a quick name drop there. Shayna is the host for the Lunar Awards Horror Round, which went live today, I think.
Oh, is she?
Yes, there's a horror competition that has just started on the Lunar Awards. So if anybody here does write horror, Shayna Reed is the guest judge. So get something in, check out the Lunar Awards. But yeah, I mean, Shayna Reed has a story here. Um, Liz Zimmers, Adam Rockwell, C.B. Mason, Honey Gloom, E.J. Trask. Um, you know, all all great horror writers that we know, and then we've also got like Andy with his kind of dystopian sci-fi horror.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, Andy's stuff is genre bending, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and this is crazy. I just a couple of minutes ago, there was someone new on Substack asking for fiction writers, so I did one of these like signposts, as I often do, like follow these 15 people, and you will from there you will basically reach all of the fiction Substack, because all of the new S.E. Reed and Erica Drayton, we all share so many other fiction writers that if you follow one of us, you usually like can get to way more people, just by
Yes.
default, just by following us. But that's beside the point. And I was tagging Andy there, with the tagline that he's one of the most original writers on Substack, I think.
Mm. Yeah,
Like
I
like
was.
like the way, because he plays with formats, and like it's such a different style of storytelling than most people do. It's crazy.
Yeah, like is Andy here? Well, we're just bigging him up here.
No,
Um,
I don't think so, Agent. We are
yeah,
just
Andy will probably
hyping
catch.
him. Uh, we are just hyping him up because he's great.
Yeah. Well, I was No Dogs in Philly has been on my to buy list for ages, but he did a book club video with Tom Schechter and
Game in person.
yes, and I was just like, wow, that sounds really really clever. So I bought it, but I'd wanted to buy it for ages. But it was just when they were chatting to Andy, I just thought I have to have this, and
Yeah.
like when he was chatting yesterday as well about vote control, he was talking to Sean McDonald and mine's going blank, William Pawley. He was chatting to them about
Oh yeah,
vote.
they were. Yeah, I wanted to join the call, but it was like 2 a.m. here, so
Yeah, it was 1 a.m. here.
I
But
went.
yeah,
I
Tom's
went to
here.
sleep like 20 minutes before they went live, yeah, so couldn't stay up any longer. So
No, I think I was definitely asleep by 1 in the morning when they were chatting. But I caught the replay today. But yeah, they were talking about a lot of the stories. I mean, a lot of people have done social commentary. I think Room 13, that was purely, creepy, unexplained, unsolved mystery, isn't it? Room
yeah,
13.
yeah. I'm not really great at social commentary. I think there's a I don't know. I'm maybe I'll grow into that, but I have hard time really. I just like writing cool stuff, and
Yeah.
cool shit that don't really want don't really bother myself with like thinking into it too deep with themes and stuff like that. They just sort of get
Yeah.
there by themselves. And so the only social commentary in Room 13 was "Don't be a dick."
Yeah.
And if you are frustrated, like if you are frustrated because of work, or because whatever whatever reason, don't pass the frustration to someone else. Just because someone yelled at you, you shouldn't get to a hotel and yell at a college student that's trying to pay her bills behind the counter. And since
Yeah.
I worked in the auto industry for a lot of years, uh, I've had many people that just vented their frustrations on us, in the service business. So I try to sort of inject that in there, like don't be a dick, and because the you never know if the person that you are yelling at can't make your life way worse.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful, haven't you? You could end up in that room. So yeah, room 13. I think yours is definitely one of the kind of creepy warning ones in that collection. And some of them, I mean, it was Shane who said, Shane Bisdock said, he was like, "Oh, Hannah, it's so nice to see your cheerful face talking about these stories." And then it occurred to me, it was like, well, are any of them cheerful? Am I being misleading? I'm being awfully enthusiastic about this dark book. Uh, you know, but
Ah,
yeah,
the, that's kind of the horror slash like dark fiction writers, fate that I write dark themes all the time, and then people spam hearts under it. Like that was so good, So it's like,
Yeah. What's wrong with us? Why we just don't, we're all smiley, but we have these thoughts and write about them.
I don't
But yeah, I'm
know, like,
just,
broken the right way, I guess. Or
yeah, it's just very funny. It's like, I've been all over Instagram being like, oh yeah, this is great. It's so exciting. You want to read this. And then, there might be like book club ladies
who
who,
snatch it up and then end up with like depression because there's not single like happy story in there. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
wasn't I think it was EJ's the Liechtensteins. That one was sort of happy, even though it's serial killers.
yeah, yeah. Um,
But it was
yeah, I
kind of
think
lovely.
EJ probably came the closest.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, and then obviously like Will Bush is in here as well, and um, his story because it was like a ticking time bomb. Time was ticking away.
yeah,
That really stressed me out. So it's like, so we've got these stories that are not very happy, but we've also got the ones that there's a lot of pressure, and it's like, oh, the characters have got to hurry up and fix whatever the problem is, otherwise it's going to go really badly. There's loads of that in here as well, and
yeah.
but yeah, what I was going to say to you about the social commentary is sometimes you might do it without realizing you're doing it, because sometimes it just comes out, doesn't it, in what you've written,
Oh
and you don't
yeah.
realize that you were subconsciously influenced by that thing. Um, and when people are asking, where did you get your inspiration from? You have to think, oh, I don't know, actually, maybe I was thinking about things on a subconscious level. Um, which I think I definitely was. Draft number, God knows what. That I had to. I was just like, Sean, can you look at this? I don't really know if I'm doing it right, because I had the same problem as you. I was very much not that familiar with the Twilight Zone because it's not as popular over here as it is in the States.
Yeah. It's
Although,
it's like over here you can't even there are some episodes on YouTube, but you can't even play them here. They are only like
yeah,
they are not available in I don't know if it's like Europe in general or if it is just us here, but you can't even play those episodes. So
yeah. No, I did see that. The links that Jay sent, you could watch them in the US, but you couldn't watch them in the UK.
yeah,
And it will have just been a licensing thing. But then I tried to look for them on any of the streaming services, and they wanted like £25 for one season. And that wasn't like mine to keep because it was just like to watch it on
it's
there.
a
And I thought,
stream.
well, yeah, I'd rather have the DVD, which I'm
Yeah,
sure still exists, the box set. But yeah, it was quite hard to get hold of. I did find some really old episodes from the 50s. I can't even remember where, but it was somewhere that you just needed to put like an email address in, and it was like free to watch. But it was only like one or two episodes to
yeah.
kind of get the hang of what this was about.
Yeah. I think I in the end I downloaded the AVPN, so it for YouTube it seems like I'm in the US, so it like
Yeah,
uh, let me watch the episodes that are on YouTube, and then I watched a couple of like recaps and people talking about Twilight Zone to kind of
yeah.
get this sense of what the thing is about or like how to approach it.
I only remember like a handful, and one of them I remember it was streaming here once on like Netflix or something, older series. It was a weird one about some village by a lighthouse in America. And someone who's watching might know what episode that was. But it turns out at the end that they were all like descendants of the one fella. So it was a bit of a cult going on.
Mhm.
And I think it was one of those situations where a guy's crashed his car, has to go to the nearest kind of town to get some help. and then of course they're all weird. Um, but yeah, I wish I'd known what episode that was. But there were so many directions we could have gone in with the stories.
No, I mean, from those that I've seen, because when I started, I was like, oh, I can't really figure out how to actually present it as a Twilight Zone episode. But then the more I got into it, I found out that the variety in the episodes, like from season to season, or like even within the season, were like huge. You know that you have the 20,000 feet in the air, or whatever the name of the episode is, and then you have the one about that guy who really wants to read. He works at the bank, I think, or something, and he wants
Oh, I
to
think
read.
EJ talked about that episode. I think EJ Trask.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I haven't
yeah,
seen it. But yeah.
yeah, and it's that one's completely crushing. It just
Hmm.
you know uh, humanity gets wiped out by something, and this guy, I think Henry, he was called, he survives as the only person on Earth, and
Hmm.
the only thing he wanted to do was to read. He just wanted to read, and someone kept bothering him, and then humanity is wiped out. So he finally has time to read, and he goes to pick up a book, and his glasses fall down, and he steps on them at the end. So he can't read shit because he can't see.
Oh my god.
And then that's the end of the episode. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, so it not all of it was like not all of it was horror. That's one thing. It wasn't all meant to be creepy. But also some of the stories were just crushing. Like they were.
That's the way
This one
you.
was like this one was awful. I was really like I was like sitting here after I finished watching it. I was like, damn.
Oh, no.
Like,
That's really sad. And
it's like heartbreaking. It's crazy. Like I can't imagine what when it aired. Like if you watch this for the first time, like 50, 60 years ago, they had to like people had to like cry in front of their TVs, like screw Titanic. This is like so sad.
it's heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All he wants to do is read. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone knows what that one is called, please drop the comments. In either the
I have a feeling it's something like all the time in the world or something like that,
right.
which is even worse, because he
Yeah.
finally gets all the time in the world. And Andy Futuro joined. We were,
Yeah. Andy's here.
yeah, we were hyping you up a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah. It's like Candyman. Say his name enough and he'll appear.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We were just talking about vote control. No dogs in Philly. All the genre bending stuff that Andy Futuro writes and why everybody needs to read them. That's what we were
yeah,
talking about. Yeah, legit. That's what we were saying. Uh, yeah, that's really sad. But then, I mean, I went for sad in the end. Um,
yeah. Yours was
yeah,
also like it's sometimes you know a story hits you like it really does. Like you put down the device or whatever, or book
yeah,
down, or you turn it off, and then you are just like there for like a couple of minutes, like that.
yeah. I was like that at the ending of The Woman in Black. I just put the book down and sat there in silence for a bit because, well, nothing else seemed appropriate.
Yeah,
I just had to process what I just read. Um,
exactly.
yeah, I don't know how that story came about. It wasn't what I originally set out to do, but I remember getting in touch with Sean and I was just like, "Can you read this and tell me is it Twilighty enough?" And I think EJ Trask said as well. She was like, "Yeah, that fits in the Twilight Zone." So yeah, little help from friends with that one.
Yeah. I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to send it to someone to like beta read before the
Mm,
release. but I sort of slacked off on the deadline for for the publishing, and so I didn't have time to send it to anyone
Yeah, but you
before
did a good
scheduling.
job. You did a
Sorry.
good job regardless.
Oh yeah, thank you. I actually felt like in comparison to others, I'm like behind with this, but that's just the
Yeah, that's
you
just your writer brain.
yeah, you will never like your work as much as you do the work of others, I think.
No. And if you look back at things that you've written as well, even if you've published it, sent it out into the world, you read it back and you're like, oh, did I write that? And it doesn't matter how many people leave reviews saying, oh, it's awesome. You're just like, oh, did I write that?
Yeah.
Um, but
And
yeah, that's just another.
there's yeah, and there's also that like you like you could spend 1,000 hours on a single page to polish it to perfectness, and then if you step back and come to it like later, you will still find things that you could polish, and it's not
Mm,
and you get to the point where you are polishing it for the sake of polishing it. You are not polishing it to make it better. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to turn that off. Like trying to be satisfied with the work I do, um, but it's hard. And with the Substack Zone, it really felt like some of the because mine's not, as you said, mine's mostly creepy. Uh, I think it's sort of satisfying because you don't like the guy, so
yeah,
you are kind of like, yeah, scary
serves you
creepy
right.
hotel, get him.
Yeah,
He deserves it. And then so it's kind of like more on the horror-ish, satisfying sort of cartoonish thing, which I'm okay with. Like as I said, I am not really trying to go very deep usually. So I
yeah.
was okay with that. But then you know you did the switchboard, and that was mind blowing. The Liechtensteins from EJ Trust was crazy.
Yeah.
I know these two really like stood up to me. I really like Shayna's. That one was great, but I can't remember what it was called.
Was that Shayna's Incapable Hands?
Yeah,
Was
it was. Yeah,
Shayna's.
yeah, 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 yeah. That one was
Yeah, I'm just
awesome.
sitting here with the book,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
was this one. Yeah.
yeah. And that one
Um.
really stood up. Michelle's was really great, but
Oh,
that
Michelle's was. Oh, yeah.
was the I know it was awesome, and I see the picture that it has on on Substack. Like if you find the post, I can see it like what the picture was. It was like this little weird robot lady, but I can't remember the name of the story.
Oh, was it Mail Order Bride?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, but
What I like
with
about Oh, yeah, I've been studying the book. Yeah.
but I mean with Michelle, it's given, right? She's a pro.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Michelle's story, like being honest, I was reading that and it absolutely gutted me, and it was like, wow, these are things that you don't even think about because no, they don't happen now, but they kind of happen in a way. You part ways. What if you could part ways with memories? It was just, I mean, it's an amazing story. Like you should read it. That was Michelle Bardsley's story, and let me just
And
find it.
not only that, but I think that hers really stood up to me like
Yeah,
stylistically. I think like she's a pro. She's really good.
yeah.
But that one really stood out like with the just felt so polished, like really like so well
Oh,
done.
yeah. Separate Memories was Michelle Bardsley's story, and
Yeah.
it just made me so sad. I realised this isn't great book marketing, talking about how sad and unhappy and unresolved a lot of the stories were. But I mean, it's the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, and you know these stories that make you feel something are great, and you know most of the classics are heartbreaking. Not all of them are like happy endings don't actually happen. So
No,
usually,
and also, like the films you remember when you were a kid, it's always when like someone's dad dies or the dog dies, or yeah, yeah, fair enough. To be fair, so what we're saying, Miguel, is that this is a masterpiece. Is that what we're saying?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And you should go get it. Right now, it's available everywhere books are sold, I think. And if it isn't
yeah.
available there, just message Jay. He will get it there.
Yeah, Jay has he's just been able to handle everything and get the book out everywhere. Something I did say earlier on a live though is that not many people may realise, because we're indie, you can actually just get your local library to order this book, whether it's the ebook or the print book. We used Draft to Digital, and it has its own ISBN and everything, so you can actually read this in your local library. So if that's what you prefer to do, then Jay has made it possible to do that. So you can get this everywhere, including the library. So if you don't see it in the library, by all means request it. And you're doing 29 Substack authors a huge favour there. And then that's more people who know about Substack. Um, it's an amazing thing. And I don't know about you, Miguel, but I have been blown away by the amount of support this book has had from Substack. Just people have just been absolutely lovely about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've mostly been blown away by the work of Jay and Shane.
yeah,
The cover is awesome. The formatting looks great. Uh, they put it all together. They somehow managed all 29 of us to do the stuff when we were supposed to do them. Which getting writers to do anything is usually hard.
yeah.
Um,
And we're all
so
over the world as well.
uh, all over, yeah, exactly. We are in all four corners.
Mm,
Um, and it's like it's incredible. It's actually first. It's actually I have a book published, self-published. You are an indie author, but this is the first time someone else published me, and I
yeah,
think someone else published you as well, right? So
yeah,
we are also like being in a collection of stories has there's something special about it, and I'm really proud that mostly the guys got it there. I just send them the story, but
yeah. But yeah, it must have been a lot of work to manage us.
yeah.
And the deadlines, like we all met the deadline somehow. Uh, how did that happen?
Yeah,
uh,
I don't know. I was hammering the story down the day before, like
yeah,
not like from scratch, but I was polishing it down like hours before it was supposed to be posted.
yeah. And even between getting it on Substack and then when Jay wanted the final copy to put in the book, it wasn't until I saw the proof that Shane had done, like, oh, just check out your story, make sure it looks formatted right. I was like, never mind formatted, let me get rid of these typos that were not there. And then all of a sudden in the proof, I can't write for shit. So I had to scramble around and find all the mistakes as well. So like they've done an amazing job, and I was like, Shane, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I know it was the last minute, but like, please, can we take this out? And they were great about it. They really were. Like I felt like I was a pain in the ass a little bit, but I think they were really good
Yeah,
to us.
it felt really like nothing's a problem. That's how it
Yeah.
felt to me, at least. Like
Mm,
anything I wanted changed, or like any work done on the book, like, they made it seem so effortless. Like
yeah.
they just Shane kind of came out of nowhere. Hey, I have this absolutely stunning cover.
Yeah.
This is how it's gonna be formatted. This is how it's gonna look. This is that. It was crazy. I was in a pub when he sent me a DM. Hey, this is how it looks. What do you think? And by the time he sent it to me, I was kind of deep into the night, so to speak. So I just messaged him back that I will at it in the morning because I can barely see right now, but it looks amazing. I will definitely love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It would have been an emotional response
uh,
that far into a good night out.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was awesome. I was immediately like sharing and that look, I'm gonna be published over here in this thing, and so many other people there.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, like I'm proud to show it off as well. I'm like, like look at the way it's all formatted. It's lovely. Like,
It looks
I'm
beautiful.
like, yeah, I'm in this book. Yeah. Um, really proud to show it off.
Yeah.
And Shane, I he has said, so Shane, apologies if you're watching this. Shane has said, okay, that's enough talking about the design and the cover and the format now. Like, no more of that now. It's all about the stories. But I'll just get this in. So Shane happened to just drop that in his day job he works for a design company. So I mean, how lucky can you get? It's like one of the authors is also a fantastic, uh,
Design.
you know, and that's it, Shane. I'm not going to say any more about how beautiful the book is because I know that's all we've been talking about. But it is, and maybe we're all going on.
It just looks so great. I can't wait to get mine so I can display it proudly.
Yeah, it's a proper book, and as I said to Shane, I was like, it's got really good what I call flop factor.
Yeah, I saw that on notes somewhere.
Yeah, set them off in the group chat talking about flop. I was like, no, it's good. It's got good flop. Um, but it has. It just falls open nicely, and I
No, yeah,
hadn't
it does.
actually. Hey, what'd you say, Miguel?
That
We
it does. That it flops really nicely. At
Yeah,
least by
flops.
the yeah.
And
Yeah,
EJ Trask says we love the flop. We do.
yeah.
We love the flop in here. I hadn't actually seen a I think it's an 8 point. Is it an 8.5 by? I can't even remember the book sizes, but I normally
It
get
should be the novel size or whatever. The American sizes are all weird.
yeah. So I think yeah, I know what you mean. Like mass market, like European is normally 5 by 8,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
And
but
they have 5.5.
5.5. Yeah,
Yeah, I think by 8.5. I think.
yeah. So I'd never seen that, and I would read that certainly for my books if it was only going to be about 300 pages. I was like, well, it might seem a bit thin. It wouldn't really seem like a booky book. But this bad boy is like 400 odd pages, and it works really well with these dimensions. It's just the
That actually
most.
surprised. That actually extremely surprised me. Like
Yeah,
when they said that it's gonna be like 300 to 400 pages or something
yeah,
like that. I was like, really? Like it was just a couple. As you see it on Substack, it's just a page, in an app. So it doesn't feel so tangible. It doesn't feel like it can like together. It can be such a relatively big book.
yeah,
It's a if you take the word count, it's a full length novel. It's 104,000 words or something in together.
yeah,
So that's like I felt that's awesome. Like we made actually a full sized book. It's not
yeah.
just really,
It's a proper book. It's not like a pamphlet or it's a proper
yeah,
solid book.
yeah,
And that I think that's something that we often overlook as well when we're writing stories on Substack is every time I do like a serial chapter, I think it doesn't look much. But actually if that was 5 by 8, it's about 6 pages. Um so
yeah.
yeah, it's great to see it like in a book. Um and they all just look fantastic. And I'm not going to mention Shane again. I'm not going to mention Shane. He doesn't want me to, but the way it's all like laid out, you just wouldn't have. I don't think looking at the stories on Substack, you would have thought that was what the end result was going to be.
Yeah, not at all. I
No,
actually like, the Substack Zone happened, and then they came out with this like, okay, we are gonna make merch, and then okay, we are gonna make a book. I was
yeah,
like, okay, what do you need? It was like,
yeah.
no, no, nothing. Just sign here, sign here, sign this, make corrections, and send us the final version, and and we are done. I'm like, oh, all right, let's go.
Well, he was
And we
gonna.
started.
He was gonna just stick it on, put it through KDP, Amazon's channel. But I noticed when because I went to Draft to Digital in December, I think. I had to wait, for Kindle Unlimited to
Mhm.
run out so that I
Okay.
could take Oceanus off. And I went wide in December with Draft to Digital, and I noticed you could add. I mean, you can add contributors on Amazon, but I don't think they split the royalties. Whereas on Draft to Digital, you just add all the different authors, and then those authors all get paid every
Yeah.
time a book sells. Um, so I just said, like, why don't we try this? And there you go. We've all just done the book, and
And
yeah,
it's here. It's released today. I think I've seen
yeah,
some chatter on Discord that the ebooks are still not up on Amazon, but other than that, they should be available everywhere. I
yeah. They're
believe.
on. I think they're on Kobo and
Yeah.
what's the other one? Tolino, Talia. I don't know. All the ebook shops, Apple Books. It's everywhere. But for some reason, the ebook is not on Amazon yet, but it will be.
Yeah.
Um,
It
yeah,
should be sometime today, for the US.
yeah. Well, while we're
And
asleep, it'll go live.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
the print books are available already. You can
yeah,
do it,
yeah.
and
And
they
they're
are
quite quick as well.
and they're amazing. So it would be a shame not to get one into the library.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, my library, you don't even have to speak to anyone. You can just there's just a box and it says stock suggestion, and you
Right.
just type in blah 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 buy blah blah blah, and maybe they'll stock it. We'll see. But yeah. In fact, I might do that. I might just go and stick it on the stock suggestion. I'll just say the Midnight Vault by Jay Curtis and others. I might do that actually after this chat. But yeah, I wanted to get you on because um, Sean, Andy, and William Pauly, they had a little chat last night, and they were talking about processes, and they were talking about the stories, and I just thought, well, we need a Europe one. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think we maybe actually are the only Europeans in there, right?
No, I think Brian Paroli is on our side of the world, and Stephen Duffy is up in Scotland. So I think there's four of us.
Oh yeah, Steve is there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, AP Murphy, I think might be in Spain. So there could be five of us out of the
Could be.
29.
Okay,
Yeah.
we are not. We have 5 to 6 nationalities, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
know that there is a couple of Canadians. Obviously,
there's a lot of Canadians.
a lot of people from the US, and then there's us, and then you mentioned AP. Yeah, he's living in Spain.
Yeah. So no, there's about five of us from this side of the world, and AP Murphy's The Thing in the Box was very good, and
Right.
oh, Mercedes, you're in Spain as well. Yeah, so AP Murphy is also in Spain. So 5 to 6 nationalities. But yeah, AP Murphy's The Thing in the Box that really creeped me out.
Yeah, that
In
was good.
there. and I was so like I was so invested. I was like, oh, well, what's going on here? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then I just thought, God, that's it was one of those stories where like you almost want something to happen to the characters because they're unpleasant. Um, like in Room 13,
Yeah,
yeah,
kind of. I think
yeah,
AP has also a very distinct style of writing. Like it's
yeah.
very signature to him. He doesn't, uh, I don't know how to explain that.
No,
It's
I get it.
and him. I think him and John T as well.
Yeah,
they have like my skin crawls whenever I read anything from them. Like
yes,
it's so viscerally, it makes you feel uncomfortable. I think
yeah.
that like at least that's for me like the way to put it. Like they have very distinct styles of writing.
Yeah. Oh, we got some hearts there. There's probably John going, yes. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it's it's exactly what it's about. No, John wrote a story once about like a cat man with human eyes. Yeah, yeah. So that's the appropriate facial expression. And that has stuck with me ever since. And I told him, I was like, John, that is creepy. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Um, yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So yeah, you are absolutely right. Like AP Murphy and John T. AP Murphy, I don't know if you remember, but the Macabre Monday, there was a horror writing competition. I was one of the
Mhm.
judges, and
Oh
I
yeah,
remember reading. I think it was called Black Sun Blinded. Um, I don't know if you got to read it, but that was distinctly like his style. I didn't know at the time, but I suspected. And it was. I don't think he won, but he came really close. I think he was like in the top five with that one. So yeah, I mean,
yeah.
uh,
I didn't read much of his stuff.
yeah,
Um, but he was a pretty regular
yeah,
person in microdosing for a couple of months before he completely stopped joining
yeah. I
us.
remember.
And so I got pretty like good sense of his style from reading those stories. And as I said, it uh, makes me almost uncomfortable to read his stuff, which um, it's like when I was reviewing The Spider, and you like wrote a jump scare into a book, which uh, I didn't know was possible before, you
Yeah,
know, and so his work is something similar. Like it makes me so it just makes me like cringe and makes me feel really bad.
have to have the lights on,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And that if the emotions are so high with whatever piece of writing you are reading, then it's well written. That's kind of
yeah.
what I'm trying to say. It's getting really sorry. I'm cycling in my own thoughts. It's getting really late, and you know.
No, we're still with you. We're still with you. I knew what you meant. Yeah. So we have those in the book. We have John T. We have AP Murphy, and then we have more kind of psychological weird like Will Boucher. Um, so Will he's a writer who I've got a lot of respect for, and he talks about like he likes things that they evoke something, they make him feel something. So he's just a perfect choice for this book as well. Um, and then we just have really dark stuff as well. We've got really sci-fi stuff. It's just, it's just a great range of stories.
Yeah, I really look forward to going through the book, and I wonder if Shane maybe like when he was putting the book inside,
Mm,
the stories inside, if he kind of thought about the style they are written in, so you go I think it could be maybe put together in a way that they are different stories, but as a whole, they make you feel something all the way through. So I wonder how that sorts out.
Yeah. I'm just looking at where yours is, and then I'm looking at who your neighbours are. So
My should be 16th story, I think, in the book. So somewhere in the middle, maybe.
yeah, you are. So not quite middle, but you are sandwiched between Edith Foe and AP Murphy.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you're between those two guys.
That's a great company to be in.
Yeah. And where am I? I am near the back. But
Well, that
yeah,
figures. If the person wants to end up crushed completely, then it makes sense to have you by the end.
yeah, we have all the gut and tragic stuff at the back. It's like, just after you've been freaked out, it's like, oh, here you go. Here's something to get depressed about at the back. Yeah. So yeah,
But
there's Jay, Stephen Duffy. Uh, where on earth? Right. Okay. So I am just after Casey Nouse and the Mail Order Brides. And just after me, my story seems tiny compared to others. You know, when you said it doesn't seem much, and then there's like 10 pages. Oh, guess who's after me?
EJ,
No, John T. John T.
John
is
T.
straight after me with What You're Made Of. Ugh. It's like I remember reading that one and just being like, oh, yeah. Um, yeah, John T is after me, and no further introduction needed for that one. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to reading through them all as well. I did a little giveaway for the paperback, gave away a couple of copies this weekend, so I have my own to read now. I'm no longer tempted by the ones on the shelf because they've gone. I didn't want to get me greasy handprints all over them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that too. Maybe I did some promotions, but I didn't really join in on the giveaway train.
Hmm. Well, do you have? I mean, you must have a few subscribers over in your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I was
yeah,
promoting on a couple of microdosings, I think so. So
yeah,
I will do that as well for the next week. Maybe put it up as
yeah.
a head banner, like, hey, we have a collection out. Um, and then I'm really trying to. I'm like on Substack front. I feel so behind on so many projects and stuff right now that so that's unfortunate, but I'm trying. I want to put out little outer updates, so that's a perfect way to promote this thing. So I'll do that
Mm,
hopefully next week.
yeah. Well, that's great. And so I mean, we've been at it an hour, so I won't take up any more of your time because it's like what 10 o'clock there.
Yeah,
Um,
it's around 10 a.m.
yeah, and you've written thousands of words today, so you need the rest. You need the brain break.
No, no,
But
I,
yeah,
I actually plan to dive in a little bit more and
are you
do.
going to do more?
Uh, I got really behind over the last couple of weeks, so I woke up with a rarely good mood today to write. So I'm trying to
Ride
get
the wave.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've had a week like that. I had to step away from the ring for a while because I just couldn't do it. I was like, no, it's not inspiring me. And then all this week, I've just been smashing through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to ride the wave. I'm now going to spend the rest of my Saturday evening riding the wave. So I completely get it.
How far are you with the ring?
The ring is 2/3. The final third, all it is just tying up all the ends and making sure this is the reason for that, this is the reason for that. I'm at the point where I'm just making sure that all of the things that happen are mysterious enough, but clear enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just going through that and making sure that all the ends are tied up. Because that's the thing with like mysteries is well, there's the mystery and then there's also the is it scary enough? You know, because
Yeah. And is it also like mysterious enough, and does it make sense?
yeah,
Actually, the novel I'm reworking right now, in the previous drafts, it felt like the because it's also a detective story as the ring is, or as the spider was. So it felt like the investigation doesn't make sense. Like
yeah,
sometimes they did something that didn't help the investigation at all, so it didn't make sense to do. Or there were scenes that seemed cool, so I wrote them. But then again, it was like that person isn't like connected to the main case, so
yeah,
that part of the book, while it's cool, it doesn't belong there. Like I have to, like, I really went through the uh, kill your darlings, or whatever the saying is, that you have to cut your favorite sentences and cut your favorite pages, uh,
yeah.
because they don't help the book to be better. So I
Well,
really
I saw.
practice that hard.
Yeah, and that's it. Like it could be a really cool scene. It could be a really exciting thing that happens, or funny bit, or whatever. I think Rob Mortel. I don't know if you come across Rob, but he took certain stories out of his novel Tales and Treasure, and he just published them as short, like bonus stories.
Yeah, I have actually, because mine's we are sort of writing the similar genre, actually, but
Yeah,
you are more into, it's sort of paranormal in the real world. I have a completely like fantastical world for it, so it's
yeah.
complete fantasy, noir, mage punk, whatever. But we are, funnily enough, writing almost the same genre. um, and I try to introduce the world in the early draft with a case that the detectives have to solve to explain the world. But then it slowed down the pace so much that it was like 15 or maybe 20% of the book was just this case, that once it
Ah.
gets solved, then the story starts, which doesn't make sense. So I had to cut the whole thing out, and I have it prepared to be published as a short story from the universe, just a bonus case for the. Uh, I don't know if I'm
You're
gonna do it
going
before
to
the
end up
book
with a book.
publishes.
You're going to end up with a book this thick on extra cases, short
Uh,
stories. I can
yeah.
see it now. I can see it now. Yeah.
Uh,
You're gonna listen to an inspiring song, you're gonna write a new case, and then you're gonna put it in the file with the other bonus stories. So I'm on to you, Miguel. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna have your novel, and you're gonna be like, right, guys, I know you love that. Now we've got these bonus stories.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I might do that
yeah,
actually. That sounds fun.
yeah. Is it? I think it's called like a false peak. You know, when you said about once that case is solved, the real story starts. But you want everyone to kind of be with you the whole way.
Yeah.
And not let go
Well,
as soon as
the false peak makes sense, uh,
yeah.
if it like continues from the false to the actual case, and it like connects in a way. But
Mm.
this was basically completely standalone part of the story that was there just to make the characters get to know each other and like explain the world to the reader. So it didn't make sense to keep it.
But it'd be a smashing bonus story,
Yeah, it would.
wouldn't
It's
it?
actually fine. Like fun piece of writing, or the story was fun. They were trying to get your stonemason gone crazy, magical stonemason. So
Yeah. Oh, it sounds really fun. Like, you're gonna share it on Substack.
I am planning to share the first act.
Okay.
like the first third of the book, and so I don't know if I want you did you said serialized the Spider completely, right? Or and
I've
Oceans as well.
Yeah, I've done all of them, complete serial. Which I know not everybody does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it worked for me, and if nothing else, it's something to post each week. um, but yeah, I think sharing it with everyone. Like I was out for dinner with like my mother and father-in-law, and he said, "Well, does that not? Are you not just giving it away for free?" And I said, "Well, actually, it's not like that. It's almost like everyone's kind of experienced it with you, and you've had that weekly kind of chat, and then they go out and buy the book because you know it's different. It's like what it was on Substack and then what it is in a book. They are two different things. So yeah, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing serials rather
Yeah.
than But yeah, I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do it.
Yeah, there definitely isn't. It's I think it's the preference, but I want to do it like this way. I want to do the first
Yeah.
act to be. I also plan to do it in a way that the first act is, and I can check that right now. It should be 9 chapters, maybe. It's 10 chapters. They are
Oh, so
pretty
it's
short.
enough to kind of get people in. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good idea.
So I want to do like the first 10 chapters. It's also then by the end of chapter 10, it's like the first huge thing happens. So it's like this is like that's the turning point, the first one. And so I want to basically start hyping up the book 10 weeks ahead of
Yeah,
release, and then you on the release date of chapter 10 the book should be online for sale. So that's the idea.
yeah,
But first I have to finish it and edit it and do stuff with it and and get it
yeah.
into a publishable state, which is gonna be a
Well,
lot of.
that's the way, isn't it? It's like you get it into a publishable state. Yeah. Oh God, I'm not looking forward to getting the ring sorted because just because you've got to go through it all and make sure that everything's where you put it and so on. Yeah, not looking forward to that bit, but I am looking forward to wrapping it up.
And
Um,
I'm sorry, like we completely shifted from
oh
Midnight
yeah,
Wolf,
yeah.
but I wanted to ask you this anyway, and there's a couple of people listening, so maybe someone will find this helpful as much as I do. Um, but do you finish the serial and then because you're releasing almost as you are writing, right? You have
Mm,
something pre-written, but then you are releasing. The book isn't finished yet, but the couple of chapters are already out. So I assume you are writing a little bit ahead, but basically just you are publishing as you are writing.
kind of, yeah. So I have an outline. I know what's happening, when it's happening, and how it's going. Um, but yeah, I mean, once the serial starts, that is the fire up my backside
Yeah,
to get it done
yeah, sure.
because I never miss a deadline. So if I know that chapter 30 has to be done by this date, it will be done. Whereas I think if I didn't serialize it, it would take me a lot longer to
Yeah,
do it.
sure, sure.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah. My question mostly was, because after you serialize it, then you get down with editing for the final
yeah,
product, or like the final version.
yeah.
So there is a chance that the final book might be different from what was published online.
No, no. Certainly not with plot or characters. Or the only thing that has ever changed would be if there's a typo,
Oh yeah,
or like I've put a full stop where there should be a comma, or just a little. but there's no character or plot changes from serial to book.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so each chapter before it goes up will have been written a couple of weeks before. It will have been proofread, edited, read again, and then when I stick it on Substack before it goes live, that's like another chance just to make sure it looks how it should. And then, as I say, like there'll be the odd typo that slips through, and you don't see that until you see the proof of the book.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, each chapter has been edited and proofread, and worked on as if it's kind of an individual thing. I suppose each chapter's worked on in the same way that a short story is when I publish that on Substack.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. So when we get to the end,
Yeah.
there shouldn't actually be any editing. It should just be a case of reading through it and correcting typos mostly, or formatting. Yeah, but I'm usually about 10 weeks ahead of whatever it is. So like by the time you've read, I don't know, chapter 6, there'll be 16 chapters fully polished and done, kind of thing.
In that case, I just wanted to say that you scare me even more now, because not only you are writing freakishly fast, you are also making like the polishing behind it, like you are doing it as you go. Which is, you know, one of the reasons why I do flash fiction and microfiction mostly is because I can't get over the fear of publishing something that I'm not fully satisfied with,
Right,
and getting something that has this thing will be likely 80 to 90,000 words,
right.
and like getting it to the point where I'll get past that fear of publishing it will probably take way longer than writing it, and it's taking me super long to write it. So so I hope it will be done this year, but I
Yeah.
can't promise that.
But
uh,
don't rush it. Like it's just, it needs to be as you want it. Don't like absolutely no one here who's watching this. Do not think because I can do 5,000 words in a day that's the way to do it. Like I said to my husband yesterday, I think I'm a bit mental. He was like, "No, you are mental."
yeah, I
Because
don't want to agree with him, but I do.
yeah, that's what I said. He was reading through a chapter. He was reading through something, and he was like, "Oh yeah, reading through this." And then he was like, "Oh, this is really good." I said, "Well, I go there. I actually go there." And then I said to him, and I don't mean that as in like, "Oh, I just really use my imagination." I mean it's like something off a film, where they like just go away like for a bit. And I said, "I think I'm just borderline mental," and he was like, "No, you are mental." And no one think that this is normal. Like I know I'm writing novels freakishly fast, but I don't know. I don't really have the issue of like, oh, does this look right? Does that look right? I'm just like, get it down, deal with it later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah,
trying to get there. Like it's getting better, way better.
yeah,
It used to bother me a lot if something didn't work well. I just got stuck on it. Now
yeah.
I usually just skip over it and I ignore it. And with this
Good.
draft, I know that the plot and the structure is like really good. I really enjoy the way it's turning up, but it's also the third or maybe a fourth draft of the book. I
Mm,
basically rewrote it twice already, and this
yeah,
is for the third time.
yeah. And you worry that you will never be satisfied,
Oh
and
yeah, never.
yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe you just need like another pair of eyes on it after like the fifth draft or whatever, and then when you realise that someone else thinks it's just good, then you might be able to just go, okay, fine, yeah, it's good. So
Yeah,
someone who's not just being nice and will,
yeah,
like I just asked my husband because as like I've just told you, he tells me I'm mental. So if I say if it's crap, you need to tell me, like, this is a product. Do not let me embarrass myself in front of all these people. I'm like, go on, tear it to shreds. Go on, just tell me. Just tell me. Do not be nice to me. I don't need your kindness. Just tell me. So maybe you just need like a writer friend or a family member to just say.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. My wife read it. She read the second draft and she enjoyed it. Like she thought that the story is great. Both of my sister read it, and they had like a couple of points to point out, but in general they enjoyed it. And I think that I'm trying to. It's mostly just the stupid imposter syndrome trying to keep me from actually publishing it. In a way, I think even in the form it was before I started this whole rewrite again. It was a good book. Like it wasn't.
Mm.
It was 3 out of 5 easily. Like you would enjoy it because it's fun. The characters are great. It's quick. You can. I think that most people can get it like done in an afternoon. It's a real
Oh,
page
okay.
turn. It's a real page turner. Like at least that's what I'm trying to go for. I
Yeah.
want to be quick, fun, and that's it. And that's most
Yeah.
of my work. I'm trying to I don't bother with very hefty descriptions. It's just uh, good vibes, a lot of
Yeah.
darkness, a lot of fun, sarcasm, and all the shebang.
I
And
think we're
so
writing similar things. I think we're gonna be
yeah,
like together.
yeah, and maybe we
Yeah.
should because we are actually like uh, I love the spider. I told you that, and you are going more paranormal horror-ish thing, and
Yeah.
I'm going like because I love fantasy, so it's like fantasy noir mage punk, and
Yeah.
but in a way they are very similar because they are very close, uh,
Yeah.
except yours in Liverpool and mine's in a you know a fictional version of Edinburgh. So
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah, different worlds, different places. But
yeah,
I honestly think this is the type of thing that people enjoy, and I think it's fantastic that you're writing page turners because I feel certainly in this world that we live in, there's a lot of demand for people's attention, and if
yeah,
you can write a book that someone can't put down, I think you have done something amazing.
yeah.
You know, so
That's one thing. The other is that I read a lot of complete door stoppers like huge books, Brandon Sanderson, kind
yeah,
of thing. Um, and I would love to read a book that's like this. That it's quick, it's fast. You want to
yeah,
read it, uh, and it's not a homework to read. You don't have to
yeah,
remember 1,000 names. You know, and places and keep some of these fantasy books are like you're getting lost in them. You really like
yeah,
whoever is this guy, and sometimes it's written and structured in a way that you can't even get into it because there's 50 names on the
yeah.
first page.
Well, I feel in great company here because for a long time I convinced myself I didn't like fantasy, and it turns out I do, and I've read a lot of fantasy, but I don't really read that type of fantasy. Where you have to really get immersed. I think just with like the type of work I've done and the jobs I've had, I can't give that amount of investment in the story. Like I just want to be entertained. I want to bond with a couple of characters. I want to not be able to put it down. I want to look forward to reading it. I don't want it to feel like a chore. So I feel that is great to hear that someone else is the same because I always thought it was me just like not appreciating it, being a bit of a philistine, but I just don't, you know.
No, I don't think so. I really am the same, and I have a recommendation for you in that case. There's a
Yeah.
book called Tainted Cup from Robert Jackson Bennett.
Tainted Cup.
Tainted Cup, yeah. And I think you would enjoy it also from the sort of professional perspective right now, because it
Yeah,
fits to what the ring or the spider is, kind of. It's also more fantasy, and it's
yeah.
little like more uh, on the crazy part of the fantastical world. It's completely made up, and there are different people and colors, and it's crazy. But it's super fun. It's really fun. It reads very quickly,
Okay.
and it's
Yeah.
exactly one of those that you like want to get into and be done in like a day or two. So it's really fun,
Oh
and it's
wow. Okay. Well, I've
and
just
it's
got it up. Just got it up on uh, the internet so I don't forget.
yeah.
So yeah, Tainted Cup, and I think someone else recommended a book to me today, so I need to check notifications and find out what that was. But yeah, it looks good. Part Sherlock. Oh, part Through the Looking Glass. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. I'm gonna read that book. Yeah. Did you
It's a
ever
really good one.
read The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Bedor or
No.
Bedor? They're hard to get at the moment. I think they're out of print. But they were they were quite fast paced. I don't know if they were young adults, I can't really remember, but they were very good. And that was a fantasy series that I actually really got into. Um, and I think Garth Nix's like Mr. Monday, I can't remember what Tuesday was called, but that was a similar thing. It was kind of real world, but a bit fantastical.
Hmm.
Um, adventures kind of thing. So yeah, no, that sounds right up my street. So I'm going to look at it.
Yeah,
So
you would
thank you.
really enjoy it.
Yeah,
That, and I think the Rivers of London
yeah,
by
I've heard of this. Yeah. Oh, I know who
uh,
you mean. I know
Aaron Bentovich or something like that. Something like that's the
Aran
name.
Aranovich.
Yeah,
Ben, is it?
is it Ben? Isn't he Aaron?
Can't I
I don't
just
know.
make names?
Yeah, I don't
Sometimes
know.
I'll,
You maybe just made up a new name for him.
yeah. I've written
Uh,
Christmas cards to like a friend, and I've called the husband like Dave or something, and it's actually Mike. I'll just make a name up if I don't know. I think it's Ben. I think it's Ben Aaron Avovich or something.
yeah,
Ben.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's definitely Ben Aaron something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ben.
Uh,
It's
yeah.
Ben. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I need to look at those.
Yeah, and I mean those. I didn't like the Rivers of London very much. I didn't
No.
finish it. No, no, no. But it really has the same vibe as the Spider. So, and
Really.
yeah, and I really enjoy to read stuff that I'm writing
Hmm.
at the moment when I'm
Okay.
writing, because you are getting the inspiration, you are kind of siphoning the ideas from the story, kind of
Yeah.
artist stealing, trying to get inspired and think.
Influence. It's influence. You're just
Yeah.
allowing yourself to influence. I'm currently reading The Terror. Don't know if you've heard of that one. It's a chunky one. It's a doorstopper, but it's quite fast paced. And I watched the series, so that is a blend of historical fiction and supernatural horror.
Oh, cool. That
Yeah,
sounds
like
fun.
hello. And it's the Navy. It's an Arctic expedition up in the North Pole. Something is picking off the men one by one, and I'm loving it because it's taking me back to the 19th century. It's getting me familiar with all the language, the way they think, the way they act, what their priorities are, and that's just helping me because I felt like with the ring I was kind of kicked out of the 19th century. I couldn't get back there. It was really hard. So reading this has taken me right back to where I need to be. Um, so yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is just being influenced in a really good way to write your stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not writing about naval officers trapped on ice in the North Pole, but it's just having something that sucks me into that world
Yeah.
has helped
Yeah.
me refocus.
Yeah, exactly. It usually also like it keeps me thinking about my own story. Like, uh, the problem with me is that I have a whole other novel in a drafts alongside this one.
Oh,
Uh, and that one is more so classical fantasy in a Japanese setting. So I
yes.
can't read anything with like Asian themes or Asian setting right now, because whenever I start to read anything like that, my brain switches to the other story. So
Yeah.
I have to everything I read now has to be uh, this like steampunkish or mage punk, also the late 1800s or like early 1900s, to keep me in the setting of the Quietus, which is the story that I'm writing now.
Yeah. No, I completely understand, and that is totally normal. You you live in the real world and you live in the 21st century, so you need something to kind of just bring you back to where you're trying to live in your story. So
Wait,
yeah.
do you, and I know well, you are way better educated than I am, so maybe this is just me thing, but I keep searching what kind of like devices and technology already was like present in 19th century or like early
Yeah.
19th century and oh sorry, late 19th century and early 20th. Like they already have phones, but very weird ones, and they did they like could they take
Yeah.
photos of the crime scenes? And I know
Um
they could because somehow because from the like Jack the Ripper in London was like 1888, and they
yeah.
already had photos from his crime scenes, so there was
Yeah.
a way to do it, but it was
It's crazy, isn't it, that they have this tech, but we don't think of that. And
yeah,
also, it'd be worth remembering that like the Met in London will have had a lot more resources than the police forces in other
in
parts of the
Hollywood.
country. Because whatever the Met did, the rest of the country would follow. So like if they all started doing, I don't know, fingerprints, then within a couple of years the other police forces who were much smaller will have started doing that, but not necessarily in the same way. So but
It's
yeah, they
crazy.
all had.
It's crazy how slow it was back then. Like
Yeah.
if let's say in London, if they find new ways to do something now, it will be distribution. It will be over the UK the next day, and
Yeah.
then in the rest of the world the next week.
Yeah.
But when the fingerprinting became like, hey, we can catch criminals due to this. And now
Yeah.
this is not a fact. I don't remember that may be right, but it took maybe 15 years before it became like a must procedure.
Yeah. Because
15
yeah.
years.
Well, you've also got you will have had skepticism from other
Oh
forces
yeah,
and them saying, well, we've
yeah,
always done it this way.
yeah. And this is a bunch of baloney. There is no way this
Yeah,
is true.
it's a
It was.
fad. It'll never catch. It'll never catch on. It could have been
Uh,
people who said that as well. Um,
that's
yeah,
true.
it's crazy. And photographs. And I think I wrote recently about them being in the hospital mortuary and the doctor saying he was going to do a toxicology report. And my husband was like, sounds a bit advanced. Sounds too futuristic. And I said, no, they did toxicology back in the 19th century. That's where it came from.
Yeah, and do you know that there is this? I don't know the term for it, but there is a sort of a paradox of using words that seem like they belong to today's day
Yeah.
and age, uh,
Yeah.
but they are super archaic. Like they are from the 12th century, Middle Europe. Maybe they
Yeah.
originated. But if you put it into any sort of historical fiction, it people get completely derailed from the story by it because the word doesn't like that
Yeah.
it doesn't belong there in the minds of the people because they think it sounds like something you would say today, not 200 years ago. That's really
Yeah.
fun.
Well, I said about the terror, there's a lot of swearing in that because they're sailors. and they'll be saying like "fuck," "shit," "Jesus Christ," and some of the Goodreads reviews were saying, I don't like it when they use modern language in historical fiction. And I'm like, it's not modern. Like, this word is old. These words are very old. It's just that, it's just like when young people are listening to a band and they say, hey, mum, have you heard of this band? And you're like, well, yeah, because they've been around for 50 years. Um, it's just like that. It's just like that. They're like, yeah, we're using this new cool word. It's like, where do you think the name Tiffany comes from?
Oh
Like
yeah,
Tiffany.
it happens so often with the names, like you
Yeah,
using some names in fantasy mostly because
yeah,
people are used to fantasy being like middle ages sort of.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so if you use some names there, they're like, oh wait, but people should like this is a new name like Jessica, you know.
yeah,
Uh, and Jessica might be a new name, I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
you
But
can't
some
have
are beautiful. Yeah,
you can't have I don't know, Jason Statham, the Dragon Slayer, you know.
yeah. Like you can't have Jason. It's ancient
Yeah,
Greek. It's like
yeah,
Jason, proper warrior name.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And what's the other one? So it's not as popular as it was, but a name that has lasted like forever here in the UK is Arthur.
Mhm.
So loads of people are called Arthur. No one bats an eyelid, but that's such an old name. But if everyone called their kid Merlin, everyone would be like, it's a bit of a wacky fantasy name, but Arthur's fine.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
Arthur's the same. That's the king's name of a fantasy kingdom that we all talk about. But Arthur's fine, but Merlin's weird. You know, it is really weird and it's fascinating.
It is, you know, it's just some names. Like if you name your kid Clementine or something, you know, it just doesn't seem like a normal name. And Merlin is similar to that. Like it just,
Yeah,
but even
but
though
it's a
it is,
name.
it's a name. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a perfectly legit name. We've had this argument like every time we've been having a baby. It's been like, that's a normal name. It's like, no, it's a weird name. It's like, it's 5,000 years old. It's like, there'll be loads of arguments about that. But like with characters as well, in Oceanus, my husband was a bit like, these names are a bit weird. I said, no, they're not. They're like normal names. They're just like Welsh names or English variants that we don't use anymore. But in the future, there could be a revival of those names. You just never know. Um, like there's a lot of little kids now called like Arlo, and one day they're going to be in their 80s, and everyone will go, Arlo's an old man name. So things come around. But yeah, names, swear words, phrases. It's amazing how old some sayings are. They sound
Yeah.
new, but they're not.
Yeah.
Um, can't think of any right now, but had to make sure that Andrew Gill things he says would have been said back then. Like I bet you a pound and a pinch of shit. I've got to look that one up because I don't know if they mean a pound as in the measurement or they
Or
mean the
found
money.
was the money. Yeah.
Yeah, because the money wouldn't have been used till like the 1960s, I think, was when that was introduced. So you've just got to be careful with like the phrases and the names and locations. But yeah, you've got it a bit easier because you've got like a fantasy location.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I can just
yeah. Whereas
say
I'm at my maps every day. I'm like, gotta get the street right because
uh,
someone like it'll be like a great auntie or something. They'll be go, that's not what it's called. So gotta
I
be
have a
careful.
feeling I really admire you for that because I have a feeling I couldn't do it. I had an idea of a sort of paranormal story set in New York, but I've never been to New York, and
Yeah.
I would just go crazy of not even because I don't think that that many people care, and like if 10 people who read it will go and check if the street exists,
Yeah.
whatever it maybe doesn't. Okay. Uh, but still, it would eat me up alive. Like I would have to make it so real that it
Yeah,
would like I would never finish the story. It would kill me
yeah.
doing
That's
something.
but that's why I'm just doing it in Liverpool, because I'm not doing it in London because I don't know it. Like, yeah, I've
No.
seen it on the telly and I've been there a couple of times, but when you're like from the north and you go to London, it's like, oh, big terrifying city. It's alien to me. And I think like our international friends might not realise that we are miles away from London. Like, we don't go to London. Not because it's geographically far away. It's just you can't in the UK. You can't just get from like Liverpool to Newcastle in half an hour. It doesn't work like that. It's too, So you go to London, big scary city. So I probably wouldn't set a story there unless I had a map.
Yeah.
But even then, like you say, that's an added layer of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just like, no, I'm going to write about a place that I know, like the back of my hand. Couldn't get lost there. I've tried. I've taken wrong turns in the car before, but I always find my way home. So yeah, couldn't do it. Couldn't. I'd either have to make the place up completely, or it's got to be somewhere I've been. Like, I could write about Florence, but then Florence is small. And also, you could just read Hannibal and you can write about Florence. Bloody hell. It's like, okay, did he go to Florence by any chance? Because he's very descriptive about Florence.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, it's been really fun having this chat. And
It
also,
was. We completely derailed from Midnight
yeah,
World.
we were talking about Substack Zone, and I noticed that a lot of other Midnight Vault people joined us just as we weren't talking about the Midnight
Yeah,
Vault.
yeah, yeah. So if anybody's here who joined after we completely went off the rails, we were talking about the Midnight Vault. We also are ending this chat for the last 40 minutes.
Yeah,
Uh, so if anyone's here still, because I don't know if you know this, but the
everyone's here still. Like, we've got 60 people in here with us.
and do you know that it doesn't show live viewers? It shows views. It shows like if someone joins in and leaves, then it just registers as a view.
So we
So
don't
you
know
never
who's here.
no, you never know who
Ooh.
is watching the live. It makes me super pissed because if you like look at it, the number never goes down, which is impossible. You know.
Right, yeah, yeah, I get. So it's not like Instagram when you go live and then when people log out and stuff. There are people here though. They've given us a lot of love.
Oh yeah, there are people here. Hi guys.
Yeah. So
And
hello
so
everyone.
sorry, it's really late and what I was trying to say is that we were talking about the Midnight Vault. The collection is out now everywhere where books are sold. It's the best book that the Substack produced so far because there's 29 of us in there, and it's like the first Substack original, and maybe the first not right, but
Yeah. I'd be gutted if they did another one and I wasn't asked to be in it, but I would understand if they had to like let other people have a go.
But there is actually another collection coming together. Um, I saw it a couple of days ago, but I don't know who posted it.
Or was it the bird one?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so that's William Pawley and Sean, because Sean loves his birds and his eggs, doesn't he? Um, and I think I think there might be four people. I did pay attention to this video. I
No,
think there's four.
then I mean something else. There was
There's a
like
lot of things.
10 or like 12 people in there, and
Yeah.
I think Nick Vinny is in there. Uh,
Okay.
I think he's in there. Okay, so I'll stop yapping because I think it's time to end this.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Okay.
was trying to get it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You have a good time writing the rest of your stuff, and
Thank you.
I'm probably going to do a little bit of something, build roller coasters or write. I don't know. There's not enough time left in the day.
Okay.
charge my phone. That's something I need to do before we get cut off. But yeah, no, it's been great chatting with you, and I'm glad we.
It's always lovely chatting with you, and we can. I would definitely be down to do this another time as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, same. So
Thank
I
you.
will. I'll catch you around on Substack, and I will speak to you soon.
Yeah, sure, same thing. See ya.
Bye. Bye, Miguel.